I saved $3,500 for a car, but my sister kept stealing from me. My mom always favored her, so I moved out at 17. Now my dad wants a divorce and my sister finally apologized. I, 17 male, have always had a strained relationship with my younger sister Lily, 15 female. Our family dynamic has been dysfunctional for as long as I can remember, with my mom, 42 female, constantly favoring Lily and my dad, 45 m, trying to keep the peace. To give you some background, our family used to be pretty normal when I was younger. We lived in a small town where everyone knew each other, and life was simple. Dad worked as a mechanic at the local garage, and mom was a part-time receptionist at the dentist's office. We weren't rich, but we had enough to get by comfortably. Things started to change when Lily was born. I was only 2 at the time, so I don't remember much, but from what Dad has told me, Mom became obsessed with giving Lily the perfect childhood. She'd always wanted a daughter, and now that she had one, she was determined to make everything about Lily. As we grew up, the differences in how we were treated became more and more apparent. When I was 5, I remember asking for a bike for my birthday. Dad was all for it, saying it would help me learn balance and independence. Mom, however, said we couldn't afford it. Yet, just a month later, she bought Lily an expensive dollhouse because she saw it in a store window and looked so sad. This pattern continued throughout our childhood. I was always expected to be more responsible, more mature, more understanding. By the time I was 10, I was doing chores like washing dishes, taking out the trash, and even helping Dad with basic car maintenance. Lily, on the other hand, was treated like a princess. Her room was always a mess, but Mom would clean it for her, saying things like she's just not ready for that responsibility yet. When I was 12, I joined the school's soccer team. I was excited about it, but Mom rarely came to my games, always having some excuse about needing to take Lily shopping or to dance classes. Dad tried his best to make it to every game, even if it meant leaving work early, but it still hurt to see other kids' moms cheering from the sidelines while mine was absent. The financial favoritism became even more pronounced as we entered our teens. Lily always had the latest phone, trendy clothes, and whatever else she wanted. When I asked for similar things, I was told to save up my allowance. The thing is, my allowance was half of what Lily got, and I was expected to use it for school supplies and lunches too. That's when I started working odd jobs around the neighborhood. I was 14 when I first started mowing lawns for our elderly neighbors. Mrs. Johnson, a kind widow who lived 2 houses down, was my first regular client. She not only paid me for mowing her lawn but also taught me how to tend to her small vegetable garden. Soon, I was helping several neighbors with various tasks, walking dogs, cleaning gutters, painting fences. You name it, I probably did it. I put almost every cent I earned into a savings jar, hidden in the back of my closet. My goal was to save up for a car. Not just any car, but a specific 1967 Chevy Impala that Mr. Rodriguez down the street had in his garage. He'd told me once that if I could save up $3,500 by the time I got my license, the car would be mine. It was a long shot, but it gave me something to work towards. Over the course of 3 years, I managed to save up about $3,500. It wasn't easy, especially because Lily would constantly ask me for money. At first, I gave in to her requests, thinking she'd pay me back. But she never did. She'd spend all her allowance on makeup, clothes, and junk food, then come crying to me when she wanted something else. I remember one incident clearly. It was about a year ago, and Lily came to me asking for $50 to buy a new pair of shoes. I refused, telling her I was saving up for something important. She threw a fit, screaming that I was selfish and that siblings were supposed to share. Mom heard the commotion and came to investigate. When she found out what happened, she sided with Lily, telling me I should be more generous with my sister. I tried to explain that I had worked hard for that money, but Mom wouldn't hear it. She ended up giving Lily the money herself, all while giving me disappointed looks. After that, I became more secretive about my savings. I would only keep a small amount in my room and started hiding the rest in various places around the house and even in a hollow tree in our backyard. It was paranoid, I know, but I felt like I couldn't trust anyone in my own home. The final straw came last month. I had been counting my savings, making sure I was still on track for the Impala, when I discovered $200 missing. I tore my room apart looking for it, thinking maybe I had misplaced it. But deep down, I knew what had happened. I confronted Lily, but she denied taking it. Her eyes darted around nervously as she spoke, a telltale sign she was lying. I pressed her, asking where she had suddenly gotten money for the new designer bag she'd been showing off to her friends. She burst into tears and ran to Mom. Mom, as usual, took her side and accused me of being paranoid. She said I probably miscounted or spent the money myself and forgot. When I insisted that wasn't the case, she got angry, telling me to stop accusing my innocent little sister of theft. Dad tried to mediate, suggesting we all sit down and talk it through calmly, but Mom shut him down, saying he always took my side. I was furious and felt completely helpless. All those hours of hard work, all the sacrifices I'd made, meant nothing to them. That night, I lay in bed, unable to sleep, trying to figure out what to do next. The next day, I made a decision. I went to the local bank and opened a savings account, depositing all my remaining money there. The bank teller, a middle-aged woman named Susan, seemed to sense my distress and gave me some advice about protecting my finances. She even helped me set up online banking so I could monitor my account easily. When Lily found out what I'd done, she threw a massive tantrum. She accused me of not trusting her, of being selfish, of ruining her life. Mom yelled at me for not sharing with my sister and threatened to ground me if I didn't give Lily access to the account. Dad finally stepped in and told them both to back off, saying that it was my money and my decision what to do with it. Since then, the atmosphere at home has been tense. Lily keeps trying to manipulate me into giving her money, alternating between sweet talking and guilt tripping. Mom enables her behavior, constantly making comments about how families should support each other and how I'm being unnecessarily secretive. Dad seems torn between supporting me and keeping the peace. He pulled me aside the other day and told me he was proud of me for standing up for myself, but he also asked if I could maybe give Lily a small allowance from my earnings to keep the peace. I refused, feeling betrayed that even he was asking me to give in to their demands. I'm counting down the days until I can move out and go to college. I've been researching scholarships and part-time jobs near different campuses, hoping to find a way to support myself without relying on my parents. The thought of starting over somewhere new, where I'm not constantly walking on eggshells, is the only thing keeping me going some days. I don't know how to handle this situation anymore. I love my family, but I'm tired of being treated like a walking ATM for my sister. The constant favoritism, the lack of respect for my hard work, the invasion of my privacy, it's all becoming too much to bear. Am I wrong for wanting to protect my hard-earned money? Should I just give in to keep the peace? How do I navigate these last months at home without completely fracturing my relationship with my family? Any advice would be appreciated. Update 1. Thank you all for your support and advice on my last post. Your comments really opened my eyes to how dysfunctional my family situation is, and gave me the courage to take some necessary steps. A lot has happened since then, and I wanted to share an update. After reading your comments, I realized I needed to take more drastic measures to protect myself and my savings. I decided to talk to my dad privately about the situation. I chose a day when Mom and Lily were out shopping, as usual, and asked Dad if we could go for a drive. We ended up at the old fishing spot by the lake where he used to take me when I was younger. As we sat on the rickety wooden dock, feet dangling over the water, I poured my heart out. I told him everything, all the times Lily had stolen from me, how Mom always covered for her, the constant pressure I felt to give up my hard-earned money. I even shared some incidents I hadn't mentioned in my original post, like the time Lily borrowed my laptop without asking and spilled soda all over it, ruining it completely. Mom had brushed it off as an accident and told me to just save up for a new one. To my surprise, Dad was more understanding than I expected. He admitted he had noticed the favoritism but didn't want to cause more conflict in the family. He shared that he and Mom had been having issues for years, largely stemming from their different parenting styles. He confessed that he often felt outnumbered and overwhelmed, which was why he sometimes gave in to Mom's demands. As we talked, I saw a side of my father I'd never seen before. He told me about his own childhood, growing up in a large family where he, as the oldest, was always expected to sacrifice for his younger siblings. He said he had promised himself he wouldn't do that to his own children, but somewhere along the way, he had failed to keep that promise. Dad apologized for not standing up for me more and promised to do better. He also shared some of his own frustrations with Mom's behavior, particularly her overspending on Lily while insisting we couldn't afford necessities. It was a long, emotional conversation, but by the end, I felt closer to my father than I had in years. The next day, Dad called a family meeting. Mom was annoyed, saying she had plans to take Lily to the mall, but Dad insisted it was important. When we all gathered in the living room, Dad started by saying he had some concerns about our family dynamic that needed to be addressed. He then turned to me and asked me to share what I had told him. With Dad's supportive presence, I found the courage to lay it all out. I talked about the stealing, the favoritism, the constant pressure. I shared specific incidents, dates, amounts of money taken. Mom tried to interrupt several times, but Dad firmly told her to let me finish. When I was done, Mom did what she always does, she tried to deflect and make excuses. She accused me of exaggerating, of being jealous of my sister, of not understanding how hard it is to raise a daughter. Lily burst into tears, saying I was lying and trying to turn Dad against her. Dad, to his credit, stood his ground. He pointed out the inconsistencies in their stories, brought up incidents he had witnessed himself, and insisted that things needed to change. He suggested family counseling, stricter rules about respecting each other's property, and a fairer distribution of chores and allowance. The meeting didn't go well, to put it mildly. Mom stormed out, saying we were all ganging up on her little girl. Lily locked herself in her room and refused to come out. Dad looked defeated but told me he was proud of me for standing up for myself. Over the next few weeks, things at home were extremely tense. Mom barely spoke to me, and when she did, it was with cold, clipped responses. Lily would glare at me whenever we crossed paths, occasionally muttering things like traitor or snitch under her breath. Dad tried to mediate, but it was clear the damage had been done. Despite the frosty atmosphere, there were some positive changes. Dad helped me set up a small safe in my room to keep my valuables and any cash I had at home. He also started monitoring Lily's spending more closely and reduced her allowance to match mine. Mom protested this, of course, but Dad stood firm. Dad also started spending more one-on-one time with me. We'd go fishing on weekends or work on cars together in the garage. These moments became a refuge from the tension in the house, and I found myself looking forward to them all week. However, the peace didn't last long. Last week, I came home from my part-time job at the local diner to find my room ransacked. My safe was still locked, but everything else was thrown around. Books were torn, clothes were strewn everywhere, and my old guitar, a gift from my grandfather before he passed away, lay broken on the floor. I knew immediately it was Lily's doing. The level of destruction went beyond mere searching for money. This was pure, spiteful vandalism. When I confronted her, she didn't even try to deny it. She screamed at me, saying I was selfish for not helping her when she needed money, that I had ruined everything by telling Dad, that I deserved to have my things destroyed. Mom, of course, took her side. She accused me of provoking Lily, saying I must have done something to upset her. When I showed her the destruction in my room, she just shrugged and said, well, maybe now you'll learn to be more generous with your sister. That was the last straw for me. I realized that no matter what I did, no matter how hard I worked or how much evidence I had, Mom would always defend Lily. And Lily, enabled by Mom's constant support, would never change her behavior. I've had enough. I'm looking into moving out earlier than planned. I've been researching local laws about emancipation and talking to my school counselor about my options. Dad is supportive of my decision and has offered to help me find a small apartment near my future college. He's even offered to co-sign a lease if necessary. I feel guilty about leaving him to deal with Mom and Lily, but he insists that I need to prioritize my own well-being. He's even started talking about making some big changes in his own life, though he hasn't shared the details yet. As for my savings, I've moved everything to a new bank account that only I have access to. I've also started looking into part-time jobs near my potential new apartment, hoping to support myself as much as possible. It's scary to think about being on my own at 17, but I know it's necessary for my mental health and future. I'm sad that it's come to this, but I'm also excited about the possibility of starting fresh, away from the constant drama and theft. I'll post another update when I have more news. Thank you all again for your support and advice. It's been invaluable during this difficult time, and I don't think I would have had the courage to stand up for myself without your encouragement. Update 2. Hey everyone, I'm back with another update. Things have escalated quite a bit since my last post, and I wanted to share what's been happening. After the room ransacking incident, I started seriously looking into moving out. Dad helped me find a small studio apartment near the community college I'll be attending in the fall. It's not much, just a single room with a kitchenette and a tiny bathroom, but it's affordable and, most importantly, it's mine. Dad offered to co-sign the lease and help with the security deposit, which was a huge relief. When I told Mom and Lily about my plans to move out, all hell broke loose. Mom accused me of abandoning the family and tried to guilt-trip me into staying. She went on and on about how I was breaking her heart, how she had sacrificed everything for me, which was news to me, and how I was being ungrateful. Lily alternated between crying and screaming, saying I was ruining everything and that she hated me. Dad stood by my decision, which only made Mom angrier. She turned on him, accusing him of turning me against her and Lily. It got so bad that Dad ended up sleeping on the couch for a few nights. Despite the drama, I started packing up my things. I was surprised by how little I actually wanted to take with me. Years of having my possessions disrespected or destroyed had left me with few sentimental attachments. Still, I carefully packed up the things that mattered: photos, books, the few pieces of electronics I had managed to keep safe from Lily. The day before I was set to move, I was doing one last check of my room to make sure I hadn't forgotten anything important. That's when I discovered that my bank card was missing. I always kept it in a small locked box in my closet, but the box was empty. My stomach dropped as I realized what must have happened. I immediately checked my account online and found that someone had withdrawn $500, the daily limit, from an ATM at the mall. I knew it had to be Lily. She was the only one who knew where I kept the lockbox key. She had seen me use it once when I thought she wasn't looking. I confronted her, my hands shaking with anger and disbelief. This time, she didn't even try to deny it. In fact, she seemed almost proud of herself. She said she deserved the money because I was leaving her. She went on a rant about how I was abandoning her, how I had always been the favorite, which was rich, coming from her, and how taking the money was her way of getting back at me. Mom, predictably, defended her actions. She said I owed the family for raising me, that the money was the least I could do to repay them for all they'd done for me. She even had the audacity to suggest that I should be grateful Lily only took $500 and not more. I was speechless. After everything that had happened, after all the times they had stolen from me, invaded my privacy, and disrespected my belongings, they still felt entitled to my hard-earned money. It was like a slap in the face, a final confirmation that I was making the right decision by leaving. Dad was furious when he found out. He demanded Lily return the money, but she had already spent most of it on clothes and makeup. Mom refused to make her pay it back, saying it was my fault for flaunting my savings and for planning to leave. That was the last straw for me. I called the bank and reported the card as stolen, then filed a police report. I know it might seem extreme, but I couldn't let them get away with stealing from me anymore. I was done being the family doormat. The fallout from this decision has been intense. Mom and Lily are calling me every name in the book, saying I'm tearing the family apart. Mom even threatened to kick me out immediately if I didn't withdraw the police report. Dad stepped in at that point, reminding her that I was still a minor and that kicking me out would be illegal. Even some extended family members have reached out, telling me I'm overreacting and should forgive Lily because she's family. My Aunt Carol, Mom's sister, called me to lecture me about the importance of family loyalty. I tried to explain my side, but she wouldn't listen. It seems the family gossip mill has been working overtime, painting me as the villain in this story. Through all of this, Dad has been my rock. He's helping me move into my new apartment next week and has promised to visit regularly. He's been teaching me about budgeting, how to read a lease, and other adult skills I'll need on my own. I feel guilty for leaving him in that toxic environment, but he insists that I need to prioritize my own well-being. As for my future plans, I'm enrolled in community college for the fall semester. I'm planning to study business administration, with the hope of maybe opening my own auto repair shop someday. Dad's been helping me look for part-time jobs in the area, and I have a couple of interviews lined up for next week. I'm both excited and terrified about this new chapter in my life. Living on my own will be challenging, but it has to be better than constantly looking over my shoulder in my own home. I'm looking forward to having a space that's truly mine, where I don't have to worry about my things being taken or destroyed. At the same time, I'm sad that it's come to this. Despite everything, they're still my family, and part of me wishes things could have been different. But I know I can't set myself on fire to keep them warm anymore. I'll post another update once I'm settled in my new place. Thank you all again for your support and advice. It's been a lifeline during this difficult time. Update 3. It's been a few months since my last update, and I wanted to share how things have progressed. A lot has changed, and I'm still trying to process everything that's happened. I've been living in my studio apartment for about 2 months now, and it's been a real eye-opener. The first few weeks were tough. I had to learn how to budget for groceries, cook for myself, do laundry, and manage my time between work and school. There were nights when I felt overwhelmed and questioned if I had made the right decision. But as time went on, things got easier. I developed a routine, learned to cook a few simple meals, and even started to enjoy the peace and quiet of living alone. Managing my own place while attending college and working part-time has been challenging, but it's also been incredibly rewarding. My grades are good, and I'm enjoying my classes more than I expected. I've even made a few friends in my business administration program. For the first time in my life, I feel like I have control over my own space and finances. The situation with my family has been complicated. Mom and Lily haven't spoken to me since I moved out. They're still furious about me filing a police report over the stolen money. The bank eventually refunded me the $500, but the damage to our relationship was already done. Mom has been telling anyone who will listen that I'm an ungrateful son who abandoned his family. It hurts, but I'm trying to focus on my own growth and happiness. Dad visits me regularly and has been incredibly supportive. He's been teaching me how to budget, cook simple meals, and handle basic household maintenance. It's been nice bonding with him without the constant drama at home. He's also been sharing more about his own childhood and the struggles he faced, which has helped me understand him better. A few weeks ago, I ran into Lily at a local store. I was nervous about how she would react, but to my surprise, she actually apologized for her behavior. She admitted that she'd been spoiled and entitled, and seeing me live independently made her realize how immature she'd been. We talked for a while, and while things aren't perfect, it felt like a step in the right direction. She even mentioned that she started doing odd jobs around the neighborhood to earn her own money, which made me proud of her. Mom, on the other hand, is still refusing to acknowledge any wrongdoing. She's been telling family and friends that I abandoned them and turned Lily against her. It hurts, but I'm trying to focus on my own growth and happiness. I've learned that I can't control how she chooses to view the situation, and I'm working on accepting that. The most unexpected development is that Dad has started talking about separating from Mom. He says seeing how I've thrived since moving out has made him realize how toxic the home environment had become. He's been going to therapy to work through his own issues and has started standing up to Mom more. I have mixed feelings about this. Part of me is relieved that he's standing up for himself, but another part feels guilty, wondering if I caused this. Dad assures me that this has been a long time coming and that my situation just gave him the push he needed to make a change. As for me, I'm doing better than I ever expected. My grades are good, I'm making new friends at college, and I'm learning valuable life skills. I recently got promoted at my part-time job at a local auto parts store, which has helped ease my financial stress a bit. There are moments when I miss my family and our old life, but then I remember all the stress and anxiety I used to live with, and I know I made the right decision. I'm not sure what the future holds for my family, but I'm hopeful that we can all learn and grow from this experience. I'm taking it one day at a time, focusing on my education and personal growth. I'm even starting to think about my long-term goals, like saving up to start my own business someday.